In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. We praise Him, we seek His aid, and we seek His forgiveness. Anyone whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides, none can misguide them. And anyone whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala misguides, none can guide them. We send an abundance of peace and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon his family and his companions, and all of those who follow in his footsteps until the end of time. Brothers and sisters, as we've spent the last year deeply concerned and worried and prayerful about our brothers and sisters in Gaza, in Sudan, in India, in Bangladesh, in Kashmir, and wherever they may be suffering throughout the world. I would like to take the first half of this khutbah to zoom in a little bit, to take the attention away from the ummah at large and bring it down to the ummah right here in the musalla with us. Can we, while maintaining a focus on our brothers and sisters abroad, can we also not forget our own homes and our own households? And the way in which we're going to do that is through the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَمَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. Whatever the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with, take it. And whatever he prohibited you from, and stop doing it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَلَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَؤُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. That indeed a messenger has come to you. It is deep and concerning to him the things that grieve him, that grieve you. And he's deeply concerned about the believers, generous and loving. When we think of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about him. Someone who's deeply kind and cared about everyone, those abroad and those at home. When we think about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we turn to Ibn Qudama al-Hanbali. When he spoke about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he wrote in his book Mukhtasar Minhaj al-Qasideen, he described the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a couple of things. He said that he was the most truthful when he spoke sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the most loyal to the things that he was entrusted with. He was the most gentle in character and the most generous of a companion. None saw him except they revered him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and none met him except they loved him. He would sit with his companions as they talked about worldly things and laugh with them and be happy. This is how the beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam was. And the reason why we're mentioning this, because we have to ask ourselves, is this how we are? Generations after we've passed, when our eulogies are being read, when our children and grandchildren, our wives and our siblings are speaking about us, are they going to remember us like this, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Are they going to think about us in this beautiful light? Is our disposition one when with our brothers and sisters, they feel the generosity and the care? Is our character one when we care and we love for them? We are concerned with the things that concern them, but also we are deeply concerned and worried about the things that worry them. How do we exist in community, in family, with our brothers and sisters? Unfortunately, and I see this on a day-and-day basis as the one who does a lot of the counseling within the office of the Imams, unfortunately, brothers and sisters, we're far, far away from that. A large part of our community, when they think about their children, when they think about their parents, when they think about their siblings within the household, are only concerned with ana, are only concerned with how does this make me feel? How can I respond to this in a way that makes sure that how I'm looked and revered is revered in a good light? When we think about our brothers and sisters, our family, it's often, how can I get ahead? What opportunity can I gain from this? And how can this person help me in the dunya? It's not like the beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When we deal with our children, it's only about how I feel right now. And you guys are just annoyances that I'm burdened with dealing with, subhanAllah. They didn't choose to be here, and they are an amana and a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to be with. Our spouses, who know us better than we know ourselves. Sittana Aisha radiallahu anha, when she spoke about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they asked him, how was his character, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she said, كَانَ خُلُقُ الْقُرْآنِ, that his character was like the Quran. He was pleased with whatever pleased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the things that angered him were the things that angered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is this how our spouses think about us? Is this how our families will remember us? Or are we tyrants that walk around our households, making sure that we maintain a peace only by the strength of our voice? Or perhaps even worse, the power that lies behind our fists. Brothers and sisters, as we are entering the month of domestic violence, don't think that it's far away from our household. I've seen it in my office. I've had it on the phone calls. We know it exists in our community. And the question is, how is that possible when we have the best of creation as our example? If we say that we are Muslim, people that surrender over to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we follow the sunnah of the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when have we forgotten this? When have we become so consumed with ourselves to forget that we will meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who will ask each and every one of us, what did you do with your family? How were you with your children? How is it that you existed in your households? And we can't use the excuses, this is what I saw. Well, this is how my family is. This is how men are, or this is how women are, because we know what happens on both sides. That's not an excuse. While it may be a crutch that we can lean on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask each and every one of us about ourselves. The fact that we are here today, we still have air in our lungs and blood pumping through our heart. We have the ability to make a change. If you've hurt someone, apologize. If you think that perhaps you have been aggressive with someone who didn't deserve it, seek to regain and change how it is that you are existing. The beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam was entrusted with Anas bin Malik, a young boy. His mother said, Ya Rasulullah, do with him as you wish. And Anas said that I served Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for 10 years. وَمَا قَالَ لِي أُفٌّ قَطْ. He never even said uff at all. Uff is the Arab version of a deep sigh, a sucking of the teeth. He never was like, psh. He never asked him, why did you do this or why didn't you do that? This is a small boy who's been entrusted with rearing and raising him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he never even spoke to him that way. So what about adults? What about people that are in our households? The people who are supposed to be the source of our tranquility, the sakinah and rahmah, the mawadda, the love and things that we're looking for, if we're treating them aggressively, if we're being abusive, if we're being in a way with them that's not like the beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of my favorite stories about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was as they were off to war. And he told the army to continue on forward. And Aisha's wondering what's going on as he made her stay back. And he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let's race. Imagine the leader of an entire caravan off to objectively face death. But he's so concerned about his wife, his young wife Aisha radiallahu anha, that he says, let's race. And we know the narration, there are multiple narrations, that she says that this was for that. That she beat him when she was young, and when he was older, he poked at her jokingly and said, this is for that time before. Do we engage with our families this way? How is it that we are existing in our households? Brothers and sisters, the fact that we are Muslim is not restricted to the 5 times a day that we pray, the Ramadan that we fast, the zakat that we give, or the Umrah and Hajj that we strive to make. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from us all. Being Muslim is not only that. That is the bare minimum that we need to do to enter into Jannah. The level in which we go to, we determine it. The level in which we earn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure is going to be based upon how it is that we exist in this world. And don't think that it's not possible for our family that we are not treating kindly, for our family that we are harsh with, or that we're too busy and too consumed with our cell phones and our work, and we often overlook that perhaps they won't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for their rights, and we will taste the fire as well. Wa'adhu billah. Brothers and sisters, today is an opportunity for us to change and make amends. Today is an opportunity for us to rectify how it is that we exist in our households. As the scholars say, and the people of the past, they have said, you get more bees with honey than you do vinegar. You're going to get more bees that are dangerous creatures that can sting us and harm us. They're more likely to come if we deal with them sweetly, if we deal with them kindly, than if we're harsh or burdensome. How is it that we are going to be when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we're asked about how it is that we treated our families? وَأَقُولُ قَوْلِ هَذَا وَاسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهِ وَلَكُمْ وَسَائِرِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَاسْتَغْفِرُوا وَأَتُوبُ إِلَيْهِ بسم الله الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعد أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهُ مَلَائِكَتَهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا اللهم صل وسلم وأنعم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Brothers and sisters, One of the things that often stands out to me when we see our brothers and sisters in Gaza is how they have been displaced sometimes within the last year 3 and 4 times. And each time that this atrocity and this genocide happens to them, they have to rebuild their lives, oftentimes leaving loved ones and family behind. Rebuilding everything in their life, their homes, their cooking utensils, the places that they sleep, who it is that there are neighbors, oftentimes is flipped upside down. Now my teachers and the ulama, everyone I've heard speak about this, say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen them for this, and their place is secured for them in Jannah. Those that die as martyrs or those that live as awliya, as saints and friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What we see in Gaza is an opportunity for us to see the potential of the human beings. What we see in Gaza is little girls, 7, 8 years old, making cooking tutorials and putting on Instagram, thriving, smiling. What we see in Gaza is people losing family members and still communicating, still being kind, still striving. How are we going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when He's given us these examples of what it looks like to go through objective hardship, what it looks like to be oppressed, what it looks like to have nothing? And here we are in our beautiful buildings in Northern Virginia, and living in objective privilege, and here we are treating people like they shouldn't be treated. How are we going to meet our brothers and sisters in the Jannah? And they're telling us, well, I did this and I sacrificed and hope that you'd see that, and hope that you'd change, and hope that we would be from Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, drinking from his hawd on the day of judgment, hoping that I'd meet you and thank you for the dua that you made and the sadaqah that you gave. But here I find that your adab, you didn't learn from whatever it is I'm trying to show you. What did you do, brothers and sisters? So are we going to watch these videos and go to protests and go to rallies? Are we going to watch these videos and cry at night and make up tahajjud? Are we going to watch these videos and they don't change who it is that we actually are? How are we going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we've had this example and nothing gets better? When we see fathers and mothers and children and grandparents struggling and striving just to exist, and both men, women, children, and adults are here not being kind to our parents and our loved ones and our family members. Brothers and sisters, what we see happening abroad is an example for us to question how it is that we're going to live right here. We should not stop making dua. We should not stop giving sadaqah. We should not stop getting up in the last third of the night, making dua, raising our hands, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to change their situation. But لا يغير الله بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not change the status of a people until they change that within themselves. If we want our ad'iyah, our du'as to be accepted, can we change that within ourselves, physically and spiritually? Can we change our behavior internally? Can we change how we think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Can we change what our outlook is and what it is and how it is that we engage with our family and our loved ones? To be prophetic like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, azizun alayhi ma anittum. He was deeply concerned with the things that grieve you, harisun alaykum, and diligent with al-mu'mineen ra'uf rahim, kind and loving. Brothers and sisters, we have an opportunity to really take the example from our brothers and sisters in Gaza and implement it right now. We need men to be courageous and strong. As Ibn Qudama mentioned, that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was ashja'an nas, the most courageous, most brave of people. And Anas said in the hadith that when we were scared in the heat of battle, we went to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But our courageousness, our bravery, brothers and sisters, and I'm speaking to the men specifically, is not, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that can win the most battles. It's not about the one who has the best backhand that can smack their wife. As husbands have told me in my office. As husbands have told me in the office, I won't hit my son, but I'll hit her. He's big. What do I do? Bravery, as the Prophet ﷺ said, is not the one that can win the most battles, but that control themselves at the heat of rage. Sisters, we need strong sisters that also aren't raising their hands, or perhaps even worse, using their tongue to hurt their husbands. Parents, we need parents to raise children in loving, comfortable Muslim households, where when our children get older, their connection to the deen is one that's love, it's mercy, it's kindness, like the beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not abuse, not pressure, not the stick, as the youth tell me every single day. How is it that we're going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How will we look the Prophet ﷺ in his blessed, beautiful face, drinking from his basin, and we know this is how we exist? Brothers and sisters, we have to do better. And every single day should be an opportunity for us to look ourselves in the mirror, to do muhasabah on what our reality is, and struggle and strive with and against ourselves to be a little bit better. What can we sacrifice? What can we do? What can we struggle as a family to uplift ourselves so that we can be just a little bit better? All it takes is a sincere intention. The product, what the outcome is, isn't in our hands. How our children become, what our family is 2-3 generations of the line, oftentimes we become so concerned about that we forget the sincerity of our own actions. We forget about what it is that we have to do. Make a change. Take the initiative. Be the one that says, you know what, my husband, my wife doesn't understand, so I'm going to do something. I'm going to set an appointment with the Imam. I'm going to try to change how it is that our family is. Because if we don't, then I guarantee you, in 2 and 3 generations, we won't have the same Islam that we love today. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us a community of love and service and generosity and kindness and gentleness. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us a courageous community that stands up for what is true and we forbid what is wrong. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us a community that is always struggling and striving against ourselves and with ourselves to be people that He is pleased with subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower us with His gentleness and His rahmah, to make things easy for those of us that are listening to this khutbah right now that are in abusive, toxic situation, to remove us from that situation, to change the hands of those that are doing it and allow us to never recreate that cycle of abuse or trauma. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us like the beloved sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Make us generous, make us kind, make us gentle, make us loving, make us courageous in a way that is pleasing to Ya Allah, Ya Kareem, Ya Rahman Rahim, and never Ya Allah. Let us watch these videos of our brothers and sisters in Gaza and only be something that our eyes engage with. Ya Allah, make it a means for us changing our hearts. Make it be a means for us changing our actions. And Ya Allah, never forget our brothers and sisters in Gaza. Change their situation. Give them justice yesterday, not tomorrow. And Ya Allah, bless us with the opportunity to see a free Palestine. وأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولكم لسائر المسلمين واستغفروا وتوبوا إليه أقيموا الصلاة.